And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. You are joined today by your host, Shawn Gervais from OrbisX CRM. And today, Marty was a little tied up. Oh, geez. Got a little back pain. But been sitting in the chair for like 36 hours straight coding. And I'm not a young chicken anymore. But Marty was a little tied up today. So I'm going to just take over and give you a quick tip today because I am the giver of tips and I've got some tips for you. I've been reading a book, rereading a book, I should say. This one here, boom, Terry O'Reilly, This I Know. Really good book. He's actually, he's got a radio show, I guess, called Under the Influence. And he talks about different kind of like, marketing things or the way companies were set up and stuff like that. He's a really, really cool guy, very knowledgeable, knows his stuff for sure, puts out a lot of really good content. And that show, usually listen to it here on CBC Radio, which is Canadian Broadcasting Company or Corporation, I don't know, something, Canadian Broadcasting something. And it's great, actually. It's a really good show. The cool thing with Terry O'Reilly is that he dives deep into a lot of things that you wouldn't have normally thought of or heard of, different kind of products that the way these companies were run, or it could be things that we use every day or have used or purchased or something like that. But he gets into the nitty-gritty of how that company runs or how they did their marketing and in cool ways. And they always have some sort of, applicable lesson that you can take and now incorporate into your business as well. So like, there's been cool stuff. Like he's talked about, little things like M&Ms, like the birth of M&Ms, because, they during World War I, they needed some sort of, tasty treat or tasty goodness for the troops that were, fighting. And they wanted something that wouldn't, melt in their hands and stuff like that. And so the hard shell on the M&Ms that was born, stuff like that. So he goes through like some cool stories, but then he also talks a lot about, marketing strategies that companies employ and things of that nature. So some pretty cool stuff. I highly recommend you check out Terry O'Reilly. And at the same time, too, that book that I showed you, I'll put it up one more time on the screen. And so This I Know, and Terry O'Reilly, really good book. Rereading this for the second time. I usually read a book because I speed read, but not skipping things. I took a course that taught me reprogram my brain, taught me how to speed read. So I can literally breeze through a book, 400 pages in about an hour and a half, something the size. I do prefer the, touch and feel, the textile feel of a book. But that being said, I also do audiobooks as well. I know a lot of people like audiobooks. Audiobooks are great. And recently, actually, I've been getting into these, I think they're called visual books. I don't know what to say. Not like visual books like I'm grade 4, but like visual books, meaning that it's like an audiobook, but it's been redone and animated in a visual format as well. So it kind of tells a story. And I try to consume books in different formats often because your brain retains information differently. Sometimes when I'm listening to an audiobook, I retain certain things about the book differently than if I read a hard copy, or if I'm watching something, I retain that differently. So there's different pieces. And what I usually try to do, for example, in this case, I listen to Terry O'Reilly on the radio. So when I'm doing that, I usually put on headphones. And if I'm doing an audiobook, I put on headphones, same kind of thing, because you absorb the information a lot differently when you're not hearing external sources or distractions, things like that. But also, that being said, I try and find the same book in a hard copy format, and I'll read that as well, because I get the information, 100%, really drives it home. Sometimes I listen to an audiobook, 2-3 times while I'm driving or something like that. And then I'll go and read the same book and I'll be like, holy shit, I completely missed, not this whole chapter, but I missed like some golden nuggets that were in there. So I usually try and get the books I'm reading in different formats, a variety of formats. So this one I'm rereading, because as I mentioned, sometimes there's things where it's like, oh man, what was that strategy? What was that thing with that example? And so recently I was explaining an example to my staff, and I was trying to explain this concept to them, which I'm going to dive into in a moment. But it was something Terry O'Reilly spoke about, and he's spoken about it in his book, but also he's mentioned it on the Under the Influence program as well. And I was not butchering the explanation, but I was putting my foot forward when I was, explaining the information about what the meeting was going to be about. So then I went, touched up on it, and then we had the full meeting, because I usually do like prelim meetings where it's just kind of a, look, guys, this is what we're going to accomplish in 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're going to have our meeting and be done. Because I don't like extensive meetings. Meetings most times are pretty useless, and they take up a lot of manpower. Meetings are expensive. Meetings are expensive, both on your resources, your finances, everything, and they're just time wastes unless you have a concrete plan. So I usually do a quick prelim meeting, 30 to 45 seconds. This is what we're going to cover. This is what we're going to talk about. Let me know before the meeting comes up in 2 days. If there's anything you want to, slide in there, or anything you think should be removed, or maybe could be discussed over email or a quick voice note or something like that, because that way we make the most efficient use of our time. So that being said, did have a meeting on something that I'm going to dive into. But before I do, highly recommend to check out Terry O'Reilly and his program, which is called Under the Influence, as well as this book here, which is a fantastic read, and I recommend you go over it a few times. So today, the topic of discussion is, like I said, something we talked about in my shop, and it's finding big opportunities in the little details. So every interaction you have with your customer is the potential for a big opportunity down the road, if you're paying attention to the little details. And sometimes it's not so much about paying attention, but you have to become a researcher and you have to dig it out. And so the example that Terry O'Reilly was using in his book was from the Four Seasons. And he used a few different examples to drive this point home, but the one that stands out the most and is more clear, likely, is the Four Seasons, because a hotel is a hotel is a hotel. Right? Most people do the sort by price. Most people just, it's got a bed, it's got a TV, it's got a balcony or a view. We're good to go, right? It's got parking, maybe it's free, maybe included. It's got Wi-Fi, maybe a pool, maybe not. It's a hotel is a hotel. So how do you compete in a space like that when you're probably just like the guy down the road or on the same block as you, right? And this is something that, happens quite a bit, where everybody jumps on the ceramic coating train, for example. Everybody's selling ceramic coatings, or everyone's selling tinting. How do you differentiate yourself if the same brands are likely available to everybody, or a similar brand that performs similarly? Or, when it comes to tinting, like maybe it's not even so much about the products you're using, but the customer's education level on the subject. Maybe it's equal across the board. They don't really know, or they don't really care. So how do you differentiate yourself as a business? And there are lots of ways to do that. But the topic for today is going to be finding big opportunities with the little details in order to differentiate yourself as a business. And what that means is paying attention when your customer speaks and asking probing questions to generate responses that will give you those little details to lead to big opportunities. And then the third way is doing some actual research on your customers to find out the little details about them. And so what this means is you're looking for little details like, do they have children? Do they have pets? Do they have other vehicles in the house? Do they go on an annual family road trip, like camping or something, every year? Do they have an anniversary coming up? Is that why they've come to see you for their vehicle? I don't know. Who knows? They just got a promotion. They just started a new job, or they just moved to the city. Who knows what the case may be? Okay. Something may seem benign. It may seem like, oh, this isn't even really important. This doesn't matter. Who cares? I'm just making small chit chat. But the reality is, those little details, that small chit chat, can lead to those big wins. And the big opportunity is in your follow-up game with the customer. So the example from the book, Four Seasons, they're just a hotel. Hotel is a hotel. We went over this. It's got a bed. It's got a TV. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got the buffet in the morning. It's got all this stuff. Okay, so what makes them different? And the Four Seasons, one cool thing that they did was research on their customers. So they actively went out and found the person on Facebook that was coming to check in. They found out when their birthday is. Boom, 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 boom. They add that little detail to their profile. Okay, so Four Seasons is really good at keeping up with customer profiles. If you complain about your pillow and you need a new pillow, They bring you up a pillow, no problem, we have a new pillow for you. Oh, you like firm ones, or you like this and that. Boom, that little detail goes in the notes. The next time that person books, that customer profile gets pulled up and they check those notes, those little details, and they see, oh, this guy likes a firm pillow and his birthday is next week. Well, guess what? When you show up, you're getting a firm pillow in your room, and there's going to be a little cake waiting for you because your birthday's coming up. Okay. Those little details that make you feel, as a customer, you feel cared for, you feel special, you feel like they've paid attention to you, you feel almost like they know you, kind of like their family. Your own family might have forgot your birthday, but here it is, Four Seasons. The staff is like, hey, no problem. We know you were, in Chicago last, year for a conference or whatever. And now you're back again. And we know your birthday's coming up. So boom, here's a cake. Happy birthday, big guy. Those little details can lead to big opportunities where you're going to build customer loyalty, and you're going to create a memorable experience that they're going to now, want to use your business more and more, for sure. So when you reach out to them with a promotion, they're going to give you that time of day because you paid attention to little details. Okay. But also, they're going to be more likely to become a brand spokesperson, an ambassador. They're going to talk about your business. They're going to share their experience, likely share it on Facebook, so on and so forth. So those little details can lead to those major wins, right? And so in the case of your business, some things you'll like, the number one thing to ask for, if you do detailing, the number one thing is, do you have pets? In my opinion, number one thing is, do you have pets? Okay, because if they have pets, their needs are going to be slightly higher than, somebody else in a lot of cases. Okay, ask what they do for a living. Maybe you find out they work on a construction site. Do you know how many opportunities that opens up? They work on a construction site. Okay, so their vehicle's likely going to be, plastered with kind of like construction materials, dirty, whatever the case may be. They probably have tools in their vehicle, so maybe selling them on tinting to, protect the windows so people can't see inside and be like, oh, geez, that's a nice, saw or drill or whatever. So there's these kinds of different upsells that get opened up, or opportunities. If they've got pets, boom, maintenance plan. Listen, breathing in all that dander, breathing in all that, like pet hair, everything, not only does it not look appealing, but it also isn't good for your health. So these are the kinds of things where it's like, hey, jump on our maintenance plan. Maybe you make a maintenance plan specifically for pet hair removal type things, like people with pets. You could even call it that. People with pets. Boom. Oh, you're on the people with pets package. There we go. Let's go. Oh, this is multi-tip day. Sorry. So basically pay attention to little details. You're going to find those big wins. Okay. It's not a bad thing to creep their Facebook page and see if you can, like discover a birthday or an anniversary or something like that, right? You might land on someone's page and one of their posts or something. If they've got it on public, it'll share something that, boom, you can add that to the notes. Little things like this, right? So those kinds of things those little details, add them, regardless of how silly or trivial they might seem, add them in. And what you're going to find is that your next interaction with that person, you pull up their profile and holy Jesus, look at that. You've got a talking point, you've got something that you can probably upsell them or so on and so forth. And with OrbisX, the great thing is you can just plop it in the notes, you can put it in the journal, which is a great place for it as well. And the other thing you can do is even set up, there's special dates messaging. So if you find out their anniversary or their birthday, you could literally put that date on their profile and it'll automatically every year send them a special date note. It'll send them, let's say it's a happy birthday one. You can customize that template and you'd be like, happy birthday, Chad. We know your birthday is coming up next week. And we just wanted to say, happy birthday. And we know you love a clean car. So why don't you come in and see us? The exterior wash is going to be on us because it's your big day, and then we'll give you, the interior for X price or whatever, or, come in for the full detail that we know you love and we'll throw in some glass coating or who knows, right? Get creative with it. But the reality is you're going to be locked and loaded with this ammunition from these little details that can lead to these big opportunities. So that's the takeaway from today is pay attention to your customers, not just, oh, where do I get most of my customers? Oh, most of them come from Facebook or Instagram or something like that. Like, what do you really know about these customers? What do you really know that can help you create better ads, better promos, better follow-ups if you're calling them or sending them a text? what do you really know about them aside from, oh, they came from Facebook? Okay, good for you. That's good. That's a start. Okay, I'm not criticizing that. That's a good start. But what else do you really know about the customer? And unless you actually know something about them, that's a problem. So my homework at my shop is everybody is a perp. So what we're doing is you have to find 1 to 3 things that you could describe to the police if they robbed you. And that's what we're looking for is, do they have tattoos? Did they have car seats in the back? They got kids. How many kids? Do they have this? Do they have that? All these little things. We're really trying to build up customer profiles in a more advanced way. And you'll be amazed at the amount of data that you can get just from brief interactions with somebody, asking a couple key questions. So think of some key questions to ask. And, you know, my list that I was writing out prior to this meeting that I had was, you know, use their social media, plug in their info, name, email, phone, whatever the case may be with your city, look for their birthday, anniversary, or basically a special date. Try and narrow that down. When they come in, if you haven't been able to find something like that, ask them, are you getting your vehicle detailed because there's a special date coming up? Or, oh, Valentine's Day is around the corner. Do you guys usually do something special for that? If someone asked me that, they would find out, oh shit, my wife's birthday is on Valentine's Day. Boom, plug it in the CRM, man. Put that in OrbisX and let the AI get to work. Okay, so ask if they have pets, ask if they have kids, ask if they are cleaning for a special occasion, do they go on an annual road trip, or do they go anywhere for spring break, or insert other holiday that's upcoming there. Okay, there's always a holiday around the corner. Asking them if they do something special for it. You can even make a list of all the holidays that you want to offer promos for, something like that, and then you could literally copy paste that to a customer's profile, and then you could put check X, maybe they don't celebrate St. Patty's Day, X, okay, maybe Christmas is a big deal for them, check, put 3 of them. Building out these customer profiles is going to really accelerate your business in a major way, because you're going to earn more from the same customer. You're going to get more referrals, which brings you more customers. And you're also going to see that customer more often, because they're going to feel appreciated and that you paid attention to the little details that make them not just a number where they could go see, you know, Joe Blow down the road and get the same thing for possibly the same price or less. That's going to differentiate your business and help you have big wins in 2023. Stay classy, guys. See you next week with another tip.